Hi everyone, welcome to Reading with Even. Let's get on with a bookish video today. We are doing something a little, well, it's not exactly different, it's just an idea I had that came to me from the podcast that my friend and Charlie and I have been doing. It's called the TV Socialites. A little bit of a segue there, but we essentially mainly talk about television. We're currently covering Gossip Girl as our main show, and we're gonna do Scrubs as our secondary show, and we also do themed episodes around anything that we want, really, that features multiple shows. We're also doing a little bit of Dexter there, where I spoil the plot for Charlie, so lots of stuff. And one of the series that we are doing is called Nandos Rage Scale, where we rank crimes of fictional men. We've already done an episode on Tom Scavo from Desperate Housewives. We plan to do quite a few more. And we rank their crimes against women and humanity and all of that in general based on the Nandos scale. So what is Nando's scale to non-British folks? So Nando's is a chain restaurant, and you can have chicken there, all sorts of chicken with sides, so like rice, potatoes, whatever. But the main appeal is that you can choose the chicken to be your level of spice that you want. So you have lemon and herb, which is just like a nice little tang, and then you have mild, medium, hot, and extra hot. So it's also infamous for being used as a tier measure during COVID lockdown back in 2020, I think, by a prime minister at the time. So essentially you can pick the level of spice you want. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through a bunch of thrillers, like probably most, if not all, thrillers that I have read on my shelves in terms of this scale. So I will start with lemon and herb, and then move up to extra hot. And it's going to be my opinion in terms of what I think is like a really entertaining, like kind of like almost humorous, low stakes thriller versus like a thriller that's super dark and bleak and messed up. And again, if I put a thriller in, I don't know, let's say medium, and you think, oh, it's actually hot or it's actually mild, then do share in the comments. But overall, it's just my take in terms of, you know, the tone and the gore, or, you know, like overall themes that are discussed. And obviously I will keep it spoiler free, but let's say if I think that, oh, the twist to this is really bleak, then I will say the twist is bleak. But again, it's just to give you an idea of the tone of the book without spoiling the plot, because it is really difficult to talk about books without spoiling them if you're trying to group them in any kind of way, but we will do our best. So without any further ado, let's get into the lemon and herb cat. So I think just by default, and that's not me being ageist in terms of thrillers, but just by default, because YA thrillers are mild and you know, they're not allowed lots of gore, like lots of gruesome themes that adult thrillers can explore, they would automatically be put in lower categories. However, that's not always the case. There are definitely YA thrillers that are really dark and messed up, and I will be talking about them in other tiers. But for now, so I got a bunch here. Actually, I will start with one author whose books I used to collect, but I think I grew out of her, although she's moving into adult thriller writing, apparently. However that's gonna go, we'll find out. So basically, Karen M. McManus, I think that she is really good for those starting thrillers, but this is not this sort of video, although I guess it kind of interpolates into that topic. But yeah, I will just quickly walk you through these 6 books and tell you why I think that they're lemon and herb. So her most famous one, One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Back. They're a series. I've not read the last one. I can't vouch how the series ends, and I wouldn't spoil that for you anyway. So let's just disregard this one. It's just a sequel to this one, One of Us is Lying. Breakfast Club, but with murder, basically, was the tagline, I think. 4 teenagers, actually 5, they end up in detention, and one of them dies. The fifth one that was kind of literally like an oddball who wasn't even really meant to be there, I don't think. And obviously he died in detention, and they were the only ones there, like not even a teacher or anything. So the only people who could have been responsible had to be these four, and it just sort of goes from there. It is not simplistic, I would say, but it is like quite accessible, because obviously we're talking about young adults, not even teenagers, like 16, 17-year-olds, if that. And obviously each character has their own set of problems, and there's like some drama there, but a lot of it, considering the age, it's appropriate. A lot of it is juvenile, like, you know, relationships, or, you know, trying to figure out your sexuality, like all of that sort of stuff. There's only really one character that has a bit of a heavier storyline because of his family that are on the abusive side of the scale. So yeah, the plot twist, I mean, I guess like the plot twist could have brought it up to mild maybe, but like if I made this video, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe I would have put it there. But for now, I think it's just a case of I have read ones that are a lot more messed up and a lot darker than this one. Although the twist is a bit insane and actually kind of dragged the book down for me, but this is not that sort of video, so I digress there. Then I have The Cousins, which is 3 cousins who have not seen their grandmother in like God knows how long, get invited to spend the summer at her estate, and things just get weird. And this one is really just kind of like rich people drama that is kind of disguised as a bit of a suspense thriller. Like, the twist was a bit insane, but that's what I mean. Like, it didn't feel dark for me, really. It didn't really feel messy or you know, bleak. It more just made me think like, oh, okay, this is bad shit. But like, that was pretty much it. The stakes are, again, quite low until the very end, but yeah, overall, again, it is like definitely one of her most YA out of her bibliography. Then I have You'll Be the Death of Me, which is actually my least favorite out of the batch. Again, I ranked all of her books. I don't remember if I left that video up because I have deleted some of my videos that I was not happy with, but this is basically, again, Ferry Bueller's Day Out, or was it called Day Off? I think Day Off, but with murder. So yeah, 3 friends who have not really stayed in touch. They just happened to ditch school one day together. Like, they still see each other at school, but like they're no longer best friends, and they witness a dead body, and it's kind of a bit of a chase there. Yeah, it's just it is really interesting because it actually explores some themes that could have put it in the mild category, but the tone that it approaches, it just seems very breezy, which kind of put me off a bit. And then the twist just started getting crazier and crazier, but it more just felt like I was watching an 80s adventure movie, which I guess that was the vibe she was going for with this, as opposed to something that really made me like stop in my tracks, think, wow, this is messed up, you know. But yeah, I personally didn't particularly love this one. I mainly just kept it for collection purposes. Then Nothing More to Tell. This one is about an unsolved death of everyone's favorite teacher, and our main character thinks that her former best friend knows what happened. And this one, I guess it could have also gone into mild maybe, but again, I just feel like the stakes were a bit on the lower scale of things for me, to put it in mild. But I will be completely honest, even though I read this one last, because obviously it was the latest one to come out, I remember it the least. I don't even remember how I ranked it. I know I liked it more than You'll Be the Death of Me, but yeah, ultimately, could not tell you how it ended. And then the one that could actually go into mild, but I think just for the sake of keeping everything together, I will just leave it in lemon and herb. It is called You Can Keep a Secret, my favorite Karen M. McManus book, one that I would actually reread. And I know this sounds insane, but I broke the spine really badly off my first copy, so I did actually buy a new copy after it went on sale, because like, I don't mind breaking the spine in general, but like that one was really broken, like in like 6 places. So anyway, it's basically true crime enthusiast gets dragged into this old town mystery of homecoming queens being murdered. Also interesting that cheerleaders are featured there, but it's homecoming queens, whatever. So anyway, yeah, very sort of like small town-esque, lots of like people gossiping, but I would say weirdly enough, this probably feels like her most mature book, but it's still very YA, like lots of it is, you know, like romance and all that as well, which again, I feel like YA thrillers probably get told they have to have a romance plot. I don't know, could not tell you, but yeah, like this one, it could go into mild, maybe like for the ending, but again, as a whole, lemon and herb. So now some standalones that I have. So this is in Lithuanian, but it is an English book by an English speaking author. So it is Black Eyes by Becca Fitzpatrick, and it's about 2 friends that go on a just like a cabin trip, and they get I forgot words. They get attacked by 2 guys who invade the cabin, and our main character gets kidnapped while her friend, like, she doesn't know what happens to her friend for like half the book. And the reason, like, it sounds like a scary concept, right? But the reason I'm putting this in lemon and herb is because after like the first third of the story, and I feel like people should know this going in if they were to read it, after like the first third, this kind of turns into a romance with a bit of a suspense element. Like, it's to the point where it's like, girl, your life's meant to be in danger. Can you stop thirsting over this guy who kidnapped you? But it was entertaining. That's what I mean. Like, even with all this happening around in the story, I did not feel like any sense of dread or anything. I was just entertained, like, yeah, this is fun. That's why it's going in this category. Then I have Deadly Cool by Gemma Halliday. This one is our main character's boyfriend cheats on her, and she finds out by finding condoms somewhere. I don't know, whatever. So her boyfriend, the cheating one, she dumped, is now #1 suspect for a murder. And she is asked by him to help clear his name. Why on earth should she? I don't know. But yeah, this one, again, yeah, it does have death in it, but a lot of it is like off page, and it just, again, it feels very like a lot of the story is actually more like high school politics and, you know, relationships and, oh, my boyfriend cheated on me, rather than, oh, there's a murderer. And obviously, like, there's definitely that aspect to it as well, but you don't really feel like scared or like, you know, on the edge of your seat in that sense. It's just more like, oh, well, there's murder and there's cheating. So, you know, like, again, it's pure entertainment, and again, like, very juvenile, which is not a bad thing. If I read this one like 8 years ago when I was like 21, mental. But yeah, if I read it now, I would have been like, this is juvenile crap, probably, just because I'm too old for this. But yeah, definitely like for younger readers, I think. Like the younger side of YA spectrum. Then I have Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is basically a girl is invited by her grandma to be a socialite for the summer, and there's some shit happening, like rich people drama in this family. Again, that's pretty much all you need to know. It has a sequel, and I do actually want to read it, just because, again, I didn't exactly feel like tension or dread or anything. It was just pure entertainment. I was like, oh, what's happening here? And I'm just thinking the whole, like, as I'm reading, is anyone gonna die here? Like, is this that sort of book or not? But I feel like the tone is definitely just relatively breezy, so I do think that this matches the tone here for this tier. And then the last one I have, well, some people call it a horror book. For me, it is literally like a YA thriller, and that is Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. It's about a brother goes to look for his missing sister on this island where people are acting like it's 1994 every day, all day. And it starts off pretty creepy, and you think that it's going to be definitely something like more sinister, but then as the book goes on, it just takes the tone of kind of like One Tree Hill crossed with Goosebumps. Which I know sounds weird, but I don't know. I had fun with it, but like the tone turned out to be really wacky, and I know some people took massive shits on this book because they were expecting some kind of like a serious masterpiece. But I don't know. I had a good time, and I absolutely adore the cover, and I feel like I was attempted to be brainwashed into thinking that this book is absolute trash, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, you have your opinions. But yeah, again, very light-hearted, almost very goofy and very cheesy, and again, I mean, even if it wasn't intentional, that's how it came across, and whatever, just, you know, just own it. I will check if I have any more. So just the reason why it looks like I'm stopping and starting is because I don't want to take out every single thriller of my shelf and then have to like put it back in, so once I'm done with the tier, I shelve it back. So I can confirm that the Lemon and Herb is done, which is fitting because this is already probably like 15 to 20 minutes when I cut the footage. So now we are in mild. So what I think about when I think of these thrillers is, again, a bit more than just like a standard YA high school drama-esque inspired, but still pure entertainment. Like, obviously there are some deaths and whatnot, but there's nothing that feels like too hard-hitting or dread-inducing or anything like that. I'm still just thoroughly entertained, if maybe like a little bit uncomfortable at points. So again, or just, you can do that, that's fine. But yeah, again, this is just my opinion, so feel free to argue. And this is also where I start separating the this like books by the same author. I mean, for example, just because I mention an author now doesn't mean that I won't bring them up in the upper tier, because just because an author writes for a certain age group or whatever doesn't mean that their other books can't be interpreted differently. Also, sorry if the camera is moving a little bit. I'm still filming on my phone and it's balancing on... It's probably gonna topple over, whatever, at some point. We'll just deal with that as we get to it, right? Anyway, so the first one in the mild category, I have Five Survive by Holly Jackson. I mean, pretty much it says it all on the cover. 8 hours, 6 friends, 1 sniper. 6 friends go on a spring break and they get attacked by a sniper that breaks their wheels, and they get stranded in the middle of nowhere, and this person is waiting for them to leave the van, RV, whatever, so that they can kill them. It sounds absolutely unhinged, right? But in a way, it feels really juvenile, the way that these characters interact, and it is like a little bit of a crossover. I know what you did last summer with something actiony that I am struggling to think of. I've definitely seen a roadside horror, but I find that it always turns into a bit of an action flick by the end, which fair enough. Like The Hitcher, or the film with the late Paul Walker from 2001, where they tease a guy and he starts chasing them down. It might just be Road something, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it seems like it really gives you grounds for like something super dark and menacing, but it doesn't come across to me that way. Like, everyone reads really childish, and that's not necessarily like a bad thing. It can definitely just give you, that little bit of a pump, like, ooh, what's gonna happen? Ooh, what's happening now? Without super stressing you out too much. Because for a book that feels like the premise is really actiony, there's also a lot of talking. So yeah. Anyway, then we have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, the only Lucy Foley book that's going to be on this list because it's the only one that I actually liked. I don't know. I'm not even interested in reading The Midnight Feast, let alone anything else she releases. Just not an author for me. But yeah, this one is about a group of friends who really shouldn't be friends because they all seem to fucking hate each other's guts. They have this tradition to celebrate New Year's together, and they go to Scottish mountain area somewhere to do it, but the book opens with one of the characters being dead. We don't know who it is. And why is it in mild if we open up with a death? Well, because we kind of backtrack, and then again, a lot of this book is kind of like a bit of an isolated suspense with lots of relationship drama. Like, we find out so much about these characters, and I mean, I was loving it. I was like, yeah, give me a character study where I want for everyone to be fucking dead. But overall, like, the stakes felt higher than obviously Lemon and Herb category, but they didn't feel like, it was definitely still more like a locked-in mystery rather than an outright thriller, like, oh my god, I'm on the edge of all the seats. So yeah, definitely, like, if you were gonna read any Lucy Foley, probably just read this one and you can leave it. Then I have Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. This one is kind of like more of a literary suspense than thriller, I guess. It's about a white author who steals her dead Asian friend's manuscript. That's pretty much it. And like, it has like a lot of satire and a lot of like, a narcissistic person refuses to acknowledge the fact that what she did was fucked up, and it's just very I mean, it's meant to be funny, but also like in a really dark way, and I feel like because of this tone and because of certain plot points, I think it's fitting for it to go into this category, because like what she does is fucked up, but it's more of like a huge ethical and moral issue rather than like life and death thing that other thrillers in the upper categories have in common. So yeah, that is one thing. As I said, I keep toppling. Anyway, so then I have Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard. I really want to read more of this author. I heard great things about I think, was it like The Trapper? Again, another roadside horror. I should definitely read that. Thriller even. So anyway, this one is about an failing actress whose last shot of succeeding and revitalizing her career is starring in this indie horror film, but she arrives to location, which is like in the middle of fucking nowhere in rural Ireland, and she's the only woman on set, and immediately I would be like, Uber driver, please turn back. I'll literally give you like double 5 stars for life if you get me the fuck out of here. But she stays because she feels like she has no other choice. And things get even weirder. And I definitely have to give atmosphere points to this one. Definitely. I mean, I genuinely loved this book. I gave it a 4.5. But I think in terms of like how mild or spicy it is for this scale purpose, it's definitely probably like on the upper side of the mild, but I feel like it also has that kind of almost like a tongue-in-cheek meta tone, which immediately lightens it up a bit. And yeah, when you get to a certain point and find out what's happening, again, no spoilers, but like tonally it kind of like evens out the creepiness that the opening bits have, personally for me. But I did really enjoy one. It's definitely like one of my favorites. And then I have 13 Minutes by Sarah Pinborough. Why is no one talking about this book? Why? I swear to God, I read it like 10 years ago, and it still stuck with me. I still remember what happens. Not like page by page, but like I remember the plot. And it's a YA thriller. Maybe that's why. Maybe people just kind of disregard it because it is YA. I don't fucking know. But it's the same author that did Behind Your Eyes and all that. All in due time. So anyway, the reason this isn't mild is because I definitely think that it is darker than Lemon and Herb. Like, it's not fit to go there because there are some things that happen in this book that I found shocking. I don't know what I would feel like if I read it now, but I just think that for a YA, and I said that in my previous videos, for a YA, I still think to this day that it is actually quite dark. And some themes that were discussed as well, they definitely bordered on something a bit more mature. So yeah, I would definitely put this in mild. And then same goes for The Cheerleaders by Cara Thomas. 5 cheerleaders in a small town died in seemingly unconnected ways, but our main character thinks that they could be connected. And I spoke about this book in the past in the sense that it is quite a passive thriller. It's definitely more like a mystery suspense because like a lot of things kind of just sort of happen to the main character as opposed to her making it happen. And I think for a lot of people that could be like a sign to not bother with the book. But the reason why this isn't mild as opposed to Lemon and Herb, despite being a YA, I just feel like it deals with a certain topic, and I will say what the topic is because it's revealed early on in the book. It deals with the topic of grooming, and I just think that for a YA, it actually handles it pretty gracefully. But I just think that if a book makes a choice, then it automatically kind of elevates it tonally. Because obviously it is a heavy thing to talk about and approach with grace. So yeah, definitely going in mild. I don't know how I'd feel about this book today. I read it years and years ago, but I do remember really liking it. And then this one is The Night She Disappeared by April Henry. I know Lisa Jewell has the same kind of book, the same name, and I forgot about it because I don't have it with me. But anyway, so this is about a girl who gets abducted from her part-time job delivering pizzas. And this one, the main character finds out that the guy was actually asking for her to deliver the pizza, and she thinks, oh, I was meant to be the one who was abducted. And immediately she's like, oh shit. So she feels obligated to investigate it because the police aren't doing much. And I just feel like immediately if a book deals with themes of abduction or captivity, they're not gonna be lemon herb tangy, everything's great sort of thing, just because it is a really heavy thing. And the reason this isn't mild is because I just think the writing of this book, I remember thinking it was really juvenile. But again, it is for YA. But I would say it's definitely like on the upper scale of mild that could border into medium, maybe. But for the sake of this video, it is going into mild just because we do have passages of the girl in captivity and they are quite grim, but then it really gets sort of balanced out by very juvenile, like, investigative bits. So, you know, it's kind of like the guys. I do have more mild, because these are definitely the sort of thrillers that I do like a lot, just because they're fun, high entertainment value. Again, sorry for the changing camera angles, but I just have to keep moving, so the chair kind of keeps slightly, like I said, I literally have 12 million things. But anyway, so I have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. 10 years after graduation, old friends go to their college reunion, and they find out certain things about one of their deaths that kind of puts their lives in jeopardy, and then they're like, oh, well, what really happened? It's the reason I'm putting it in mild is because although it deals with adult characters in the present day, we get a lot of chapters from their college days in the past, and a lot of it feels like literally you're watching Gossip Girl, which is not a bad thing. No. But it does feel like it kind of like dulls the tone a bit in the sense of, you know, the stakes and the darkness and everything. And it can feel a bit juvenile because, like, a lot of it is like relationships and cheating and, like, you know, the politics of attending the coolest fraternity and stuff like that. And, like, the actual murder aspect of the story, it feels obviously, like, we're getting to it. That's the point. We're finding out what happened to this person. But you know, it feels like kind of like, oh yeah, this is just like the end result. But let's listen to the relationship drama first. It sounds like I'm critiquing it. I gave it 4 stars, but ultimately, I do think that it doesn't warrant to be ranked any higher in the scale. And then I have some kind of like, oh yeah, they're both triples. So some Ruth Ware books. I have The Death of Mrs. Westaway, which is like a family drama. A girl who seemingly has no family gets told that she inherited this estate, and weird things happen. But this one, again, I was intrigued and I really sympathized for the main character, and the atmosphere was great, but it didn't really feel that high stakes until like the very last, I don't know, few chapters. So if you're just looking to be like more entertained and enthralled by, again, rich people drama and a poor, literal poor person being shoved in the middle of it, this one's for you. And then I have One by One by Ruth Ware, which is probably it's probably my favorite out of all the Ruth Ware books that I'm going to mention in this video. A luxury chalet where a group of co-workers go to talk about their so it's kind of like Spotify inspired app. They can't call it Spotify, of course, because, you know, copyright, it's a thing. But it's essentially like this big music sharing app, and they actually go into the mechanics of it, but they need to sort out money stuff so that this is able to go ahead, because they have some shares. They have shares, they have like all these controlling percentages. Like, that part can be a little dull, but things spice up when one of these people go missing, and it kind of becomes a locked-in mystery with the storm outside and everything. So yeah, I think I actually would love to reread this one. I know how it ends, like I know the ending, but it's just, it was so fun. I have like this fondest memory of having a really shitty day at my customer service job that I worked at for 6 months, and then I couldn't take it anymore, and I just had the worst shift, and I really needed to unwind. This was still like during COVID times, and I was just reading this after work, and I forgot about my shitty job and everything. I think I read it in one go. I was so entertained. So yeah, like, things like that really have a special place in your heart, don't they? Just that feeling you associate with a tangible object. So yeah, the reason I'm putting this in mild is because, again, it is definitely structured more like a locked room mystery, whodunit almost, like a homage to Agatha Christie, as opposed to like an actual, like, full-on wow thriller. And like a lot of any potential like gore and death happens off page as well. So yeah, it feels more like still entertaining in a positive way rather than like, oh my god, what the fuck am I reading? This is so dark. So again, would really recommend this one. If you were to read any Ruth Ware book, read this one. And I know it's controversial, but I will actually bring that up later. And then I also have In a Dark, Dark Wood, A Hen Party, Bachelorette for Americans. Our main character and the bride haven't spoken in like years and years. And there's this other friend that's like, okay, let's go together, see what that's about. And they go into this house, like a glass house, literally in the middle of, again, fucking nowhere. Love isolation thrillers. They're one of my favorites. And shit goes down. And again, the reason I'm putting this in mild is because some shit does go down indeed. In fact, like the book starts with the main character in the hospital and she's being asked to backtrack and walk the police through like what the fuck happened. But again, obviously immediately like the stakes are a bit lower in the sense, you know, we know the main character's made it, so you know it's just like tracing back what happened. And again, a lot of this book is kind of like, it has some chapters back to high school, so we have some drama there. Again, it feels like just pure entertainment and dissecting terrible friendships and terrible relationships and all the, you know, people's status, reputation crap. Like that takes up a lot of the book. And the suspense is kind of like trickled down in bits until the end. So again, definitely lighter, but I was thoroughly entertained. And then I have a couple Shari Lapina books. So I have Someone We Know, which is still my favorite book of hers. Again, absolutely loved it. It's about a family. The mother discovers that her son has just been breaking into people's homes for no other reason than he can, which is okay. Weird. Failed as a parent, clearly. So she starts sending them apology notes. Anonymously, of course. And it's like, okie dokie. That was dumb. You stupid bitch. No, I'm being so mean. But one of the people in these houses that her son was robbing goes missing and is found murdered. So she's like, did my son do this? And it just goes from there, and it was so entertaining. Oh my god, the domestic goodness. The Shari Lapina generally is a domestic queen. The drama, oh my god, I fucking loved it. So much fun. So much fun, honestly. Please do read this one. It's been talked about on BookTube, but I don't think it's been talked about enough. Then I have Not a Happy Family by her as well. This one is about three siblings go to their parents' house for Easter dinner, and they have an argument with each other and they leave, and their parents are found dead that same night in a brutal way. And why am I putting this in mild? Well, again, I was just thoroughly entertained. A lot of this book focuses on dynamics of siblings and like their sense of entitlement, their sense of vanity and greed and everything. Like lots of like family dynamics. And a lot of it is just kind of like a murder investigation. But a lot of the investigation kind of like... Again, to me personally, I did not feel like massively high stakes reading it. I was just entertained reading about this messy family drama, which is fantastic. And then the last one by this author for the mild category, I have An Unwanted Guest, which is, again, a standard locked-in mystery. A bunch of people go to this motel, hotel, whatever, again, in the middle of nowhere. That's why isolated, duh. And they start dying one by one. And the reason this is in mild is just, again, I think this is actually my least favorite Shari Lapina book, but I think I need to give another chance to this book, because it literally sounds like something I would absolutely love. But I also feel like she does the... Like, she does it better when she just focuses on the domestics. But then again, who am I to tell an author they can't branch out of their subgenre? Duh. Sometimes you strike gems that way. So regardless, yeah, this is a standard locked-in mystery. And again, a lot of like potential gore and all that happens off page. And it would definitely be like on the upper scale of mild, I think, but still mild. So yeah, would recommend. Like, I still gave it 4 stars. It says a lot that my least favorite book by an author is a 4 star still. Like, she really is an author for me. Right, so the last few that I have for the mild category, and clearly I'm going to be here forever because I am 15 minutes in, but you know what? The way for me to get excited about filming for this channel again is to just do what I want, and if a video is longer, then so be it. You can pause it and go back to it later. YouTube literally keeps it in your watch history paused at the spot you stopped. So anyway, I have The Party by Robin Harding. It is literally a party for someone's sweet 16. Someone ends up injured. And that's pretty much like the first 50 pages that it happens. And then the rest of it is like the fallout for the families in terms of like their status, in terms of, you know, their like money. Like, a lot of it really feels low stakes in a sense of the thriller aspect. It just more feels kind of like a drama, and I did love it for that aspect. I gave it 4 stars, but again, I just feel like it's very again, very kind of safe, considering that no one even died. They were just injured, and again, it happens early in the book, so I'm not spoiling it. But yeah, it's just a lot more of a character exploration, I should say, rather than like, oh my god, action. So it's going in the mild. And then I have The Holiday by T.M. Logan. 7 Days, 3 Families, 1 Killer. And that's pretty much all you need to know. But again, like, a lot of this book is just drama, and the thriller kind of kicks in the last third, hence why it's in the mild. And don't get me wrong, I love drama. This does not reflect of how much I enjoy a book. All of the books that I'm discussing are at least 3.5 and above. But this one, like, it really doesn't kick in till like the last third in terms of the thriller. And a lot of it is just like, oh my god, cheating. Oh my god, money. Oh my god. Which is great. But yeah, mild. And then I have Shiver by Ali Reynolds. Again, isolated ski chalet. But, again, like, people miss him, whatever. So the reason I'm putting this in mild is, like, there's some stuff that happens there I'm like, oh, that's a bit dark, but at the same time, so much of it gets balanced out by these, I've spoken about it before, so much gets balanced out by these flashbacks of them, the main characters as teenagers, like, young adults, like 19-year-olds, basically just dealing with all this like drama, again, relationships, oh my dear lord, that I just feel like it cuts down any potential darkness and tension that you can feel in terms of this book. So again, entertaining but mild. And then a few Riley Sagers. I will not pull out the other ones for this tier because it's like such a big stack. I'm just gonna keep like destroying the stack. But Survive the Night. Our main character, Charlie, she gets in a car to go home from uni, and she realizes that the guy that she's in the car with is likely to be the campus killer that killed her roommate. Probably the best summary of this book I've ever given. And it's just pure unhinged. It's pure unhinged. A lot of people say that it's his, like, it's Riley's least favorite book for them, but I had a great time with it. I mean, it's a 4 star for me. It's still like probably second at the bottom. Again, I still have 2 Riley books to read before his new one comes out in August, and then I'll do my ranking. But at the moment, it is like near the bottom, but it's still a 4 star. Like, I still had a great time with it. Like, I understand why people are ranking it lower. There was a thing that I really didn't like about, you know, certain plot devices, but overall, I was like, you know what, I'll just look past it and just enjoy it. But yeah, ultimately, like, it doesn't have much to offer in terms of like some kind of like deep introspection, but it doesn't need to be. That's why it's in this category. And then his 2 other books that I would describe appropriate for mild category are The House Across the Lake and Final Girls. The House Across the Lake, an alcoholic actress is told to just sit in her lake house and do like a makeshift rehab basically, and she notices weird things happening with people across the lake, like the husband and wife, and the wife goes missing. That's all you need to know. I mean, it does go a bit supernatural in the sense that I'm not going to say when, but I just feel like you need to know this because a lot of people gave it 1 star because they didn't expect that. But overall, this book is so unserious. Like, in a way, I'm just like, this is kind of hilarious. And it just fits in this category because of that. And then Final Girls, 3 survivors of a massacre. They, like different massacres, like all slasher style massacres. They, 2 of them reunite after the 3rd one is found apparently committed suicide, but also they think that maybe it's a lie and someone is really coming for them. So yeah, these are, I would say, all the mild ones that I have to talk about, which is a good thing because we still have 3 categories. Right, so medium category is probably gonna be smaller. I just think like as we go up, the numbers are gonna dwindle because I don't read super dark books super often, but we still have a good bunch. So just to talk more about Shari Lapina, because why the hell not, and might as well just, finish talking about her. So I have What Have You Done, which is a teenage girl is found dead in a cornfield, and the book is pretty much just trying to investigate what happened, who did this. And the reason I'm putting this in medium is because the tone of it just feels a bit more somber in the sense that there's a lot of like gravity on this murder and what it does to the family. Like, it definitely doesn't feel like a juicy domestic drama. It literally feels like a young girl has been murdered, and people are trying to come to terms with it while also catching the killer, and all the motivations and everything. And rightfully so, it reads darker than her other books in the mild category. And yeah, I was still entertained, but I feel like it does have that little bit of a tone shift. Then The End of Her, it's about a couple, a married couple with young children, literally 6 months, and someone shows up on their doorstep one day, and the wife opens the door, and this woman says, "Your husband killed his first wife." More or less, that's what she says. Whatever. The reason this is in medium as opposed to mild, although it could be like on the lower end of the medium scale, I would say it's because there's a lot of tension building in this book. Did the husband actually do it? Did he not? And considering that in true crime statistics, for someone who watches a fair bit of it, and obviously like for anyone who watches it as well, we know that a woman is most likely to be killed by her partner, husband, boyfriend, fiance, whatever, especially if she's pregnant. And I mean, homicide is top cause of death for women in America. Mental, I know, horrible. And yeah, it's it just has like that little bit. Also, like, there's a bit of a court procedural, which kind of like darkens the tone a bit, feels a bit more technical. So that's why it's going in the medium for me. And then The Couple Next Door by her as well. Parents decide to basically do a bit of a Madeline McCann situation. They have a baby, and neighbors invite them to a party in their house. Literally, they're next to each other. You can walk in 20 seconds and be back at your house. So they think, what's the worst thing that can happen? Let's just leave the baby monitor on, and let's just leave the baby there and check on the baby every half an hour. And of course the baby goes missing, and the story takes off from there. The reason this is in medium, I just think that whenever there's something involving kids, that automatically takes it up a notch, just because obviously, kids are innocent, and like thrillers with missing kids, missing children, anything like that, it just it immediately just goes up, even if it definitely evolves into a bit more of a rich people drama situation. There's definitely that darker undertone there. And I would put her, just to finish talking about this author, I would put her A Stranger in the House in medium as well, just because, again, it has like a bit of a darker tone. A woman randomly leaves her house, like a meal half cooked. She just runs in her husband's car, drives down the road and crashes, and loses her memory of what she's done, but it seems like she was up to something sketchy. And again, it's more for like the atmosphere building that it feels like it has a slight darker tone. But again, it would also go into probably like the low end of the medium scale. So that's Cherry Lapina. Then I have Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, my last book by this author on this list. The reason this is in medium, again, kind of probably on the lower end of medium, but medium nonetheless. We have a nanny who is looking for a job, and she gets offered a job to work at this basically smart home almost, watching after some kids. And this house is weird. Like, it definitely, some people said it even has a bit of a horror vibe instead of a thriller. I think that's why I put it in the medium, because it definitely was creepy in certain moments. And for a lot of people, this is like Ruth Ware's book that's worth reading. It's their favorite or the only book they liked. Again, I don't agree with that, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, I think that that's why it's on the medium. And then I have Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough, about a woman who her mother went kind of crazy and tried killing her and her sister when she was a kid, around her 40th birthday, and it started with insomnia, and she's now turning 40, and she's also unable to sleep, so she thinks, oh, I'm gonna end up like my mother. Fantastic. Who doesn't love repeating history? And the reason this is in the medium is because there's definitely some higher suspense as we're watching the character kind of wonder, is she going mad? Like, is it, what's happening here? It's just, you know, very intense stuff, but like not intense enough to go any higher. Overall, there's some twists and turns that definitely like has that bit of a tension, where you can see why it would be in the medium. Then I have Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and I mean, everyone knows Gone Girl. A husband gets accused of killing his wife. But is that the whole story? Why am I putting this in the medium is because I feel like it definitely does a great job exploring like all the ins and outs of a resentful marriage and all that entails, and it really has some messed up material, but for me, I still was thoroughly entertained, and I was like, wow, that is crazy, as opposed to like, I'm profoundly disturbed, and I was disturbed, but not in a sense that left me feeling sick or anything like that. I definitely think it's on the upper end of the medium scale, but again, still medium. And then I have They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, a vigilante, almost Dexter-like serial killer on campus, and a girl whose friend was assaulted, and they're trying to find justice in the world that seems to be very hell-bent on ruining that for them. And why is this in medium? There are definitely some topics that are quite dark in terms of sexual assault and the whole boys will be boys mentality. Like, definitely touches up on all of those things, but ultimately I just think that the books in the upper tiers are a bit more, like they push that even a bit more, but obviously this still, it hits all the right notes, and I mean, it's a great book. It's just obviously, in my opinion, it goes in the medium. So as you can see, the shelves are crumbling all around me from the amount of books I'm taking out, but like I said, I'm committed. I told you I'd walk you through all of this, and now that I'm thinking about it, I could have done it as a tier ranking, but I'd have to film on the computer, and then the camera is all wonky. What? You know what? I prefer this. So anyway, let's just continue. So The Perfect Girlfriend by Karen Hamilton. An unhinged stalker thriller about a woman who's just decided, you know what, this man loves me even though he dumped me, and he definitely doesn't want anything to do with me. But no, no. Clearly even the book was like, that's just crazy. So yeah, just the reason it's in Medium is because I just love how unhinged it is. It's like the things that this character does, they're crazy. And then you think like, wow, the fact that this could actually happen. I could see this happening. Again, I was loving life. This was so fun and entertaining, but also I was thinking, okay, we are getting into the crazy territory here. So there's that one. Then I have Rumored by Kelly and Christina Mancaruso. And it's about a celebrity who potentially could be a serial killer. And a lot of this is investigative. So like the pace really builds up. We go from like a bit of investigation to almost like a bit of like unhinged obsessive woman. And then I had my doubts, but then the last like quarter, I was gobsmacked. One of the craziest twists that I've ever read. And when I make a video, a bit of a spoiler alert, I do plan to make a video with like the craziest twists that I have read, and this will definitely be included. But I don't know, maybe I should rank the thrillers I read by twist. I don't know. That might be a bit too samey, but either way, it's insane. And it is definitely dark. It's not dark enough to go any higher, but I was thinking, yeah, this is a bit messed up. I definitely had those thoughts, but obviously I can't say anything else. I'll leave it at that. Then got The Catch by T.M. Logan. A father thinks that his daughter's new fiance is a psychopath. Pretty much all you need to know, really. But it does build the suspense pretty well. And like the last quarter is quite bittersweet almost, so I think that it definitely fits this tier. But yeah, don't be fooled by the length. It reads really fast. Like I was blowing through it in one sitting, no question. Then I have The Dark by Emma Houghton, an Antarctic isolated thriller. A team get stranded in the long night and one of them is found dead, basically. The reason this is in the Medium is because it deals with some topics like addiction to pills and all that, and I think that it does it as well as a thriller does that sort of thing while still maintaining the entertainment factor. So I do think that it's done pretty well, and there are also some scientific things here that I can't vouch if they're accurate. I'm not a scientist in the least, but they sounded plausible enough to flow well with the story, so I was just like, you know what, crack on, do your thing. Then I have both Alex Michaelides books, The Silent Patient and The Maidens. I feel like everyone knows these. The reason why they're here is because there's definitely some darker stuff happening in both of them. This one focuses on like deterioration of marriage and infidelities and all of that, and also features mental facility. This one focuses on potential teacher-student grooming relationships, so it definitely has like darker topics, but overall they're not explored deeply enough to warrant a higher ranking. And the way they wrap up, it still feels like, I don't know, kind of more of a victory, I guess. I'm not sure. But anyway, again, no spoilers. Victory for who? Find out. Read the book. But yeah, not gonna read any more of this author's work because I despised The Fury. I hated it. Anyway, then I have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney and My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney as well. This one, a married couple go to try to revive their marriage in this rural Scottish Highlands, like this church that's been repurposed for bed and breakfast, basically. And again, things start going weird. This one is really atmospheric. I mean, I could not have read it in a less appropriate atmosphere because it's literally snowy, wintry Scottish Highlands, and I read it in Greece. Okay. I mean, whatever works for me, I guess. But yeah, this one I found to be really interesting in terms of exploring like deteriorating relationships and marriages and all that. And I thought that it definitely had things that could be considered quite on the darker side. That's why it's in the medium. And same goes for this one. It's the new hit, my first 5-star Alice Feeney. I really loved this one. A woman goes for a run and she comes back, and there's another woman in her house who says that she's her, and she has the keys and everything, and our main character's like, what? And again, crazy twist, insane. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what can I tell you. But I feel like there's also some stuff here that talks about like death and dying and all of that grief that can really go into the darker category. And again, some twists in terms of like, Alice Feeney is really good at writing resentful relationships. I feel like that's her strength as an author. It's a very specific thing, but in these sort of thrillers that she's doing, it works really well. And her book Daisy Darker also goes in the medium, although it's easily my least favorite of hers that I read out of, to be fair, I only read these 3, but it's easily my least favorite. It's basically kind of like an Agatha Christie inspired, and the reason it's in the medium is because of certain things that are revealed that happen to the main character, Daisy, who is just neglected by her family. But yeah, so that's that. And then I also have I Found You by Lisa Jewell. A woman discovers a man who seemingly has amnesia wandering around a beach near her home and invites him to stay over, because that is such a great idea. Nice going. I mean, insane, am I right? But yeah, we get to find out certain things about a lot of people in the small town. And yeah, it made me kind of more sad than anything else. But it also feels like the way that things unfold, there's also like the sense of hope. So anyway, that is that for this batch. Actually, I lied. I have a couple more. And first of all, I don't want to pull out the whole series because it's under a bunch of books, because I have them stacked like this. But I got the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and everyone knows the series. I've talked about it on this channel loads. The reason it's in the medium category is because I just think that there are definitely some topics there that can be quite dark, but it still does feel YA in the sense of, you know, how characters interact and how they act in general, which is fine. They are teenagers, it's valid. So yeah, no problems there, but I feel like those scenes definitely balance out the dark moments, so it would go on the upper end of the medium scale, but yeah, it's a medium. And so would Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson, her first adult work. Our main character gets attacked on Halloween night and finds out that she only has 1 week to live because she has an aneurysm that has formed in her brain that's gonna burst within like 7 days. Hello, Samara from The Ring. Guess this is your doing. But yeah, it's again, it kind of feels more sad than anything else, and in a weird way, it does feel really juvenile, but also because of like the tone and like that preemptive grief, knowing you're gonna die, and you know, all the sadness and everything that comes with it, like family dynamics, realizing lots of things about your family that you wish you didn't have to. Yeah, it has to go in the medium, but yeah, we're not quite done. We're not quite done with this author just yet. But for now, True Crime Story by Joseph Knox. This is kind of like a mixed media about a girl who goes missing in like during a night out at Manchester University, and it's just kind of like figuring out what happened to her. And it feels like very real. Like, it does feel like a real investigation that could happen in Britain, anywhere. But yeah, it's just I was gonna say it wasn't a particularly fun time, that's why it's in the medium. It was still entertaining, but I was definitely starting to get a bit disturbed by certain aspects, so that's why it's here. And Riley books that I would put in this category would be I would say probably like the rest of his stuff. I'm not, like I said, it's a stack, I'm not gonna take it out. But yeah, Home Before Dark, Middle of the Night, The Last Time I Lied, and With a Vengeance, they would all go in a medium. just because, again, that's why I love Riley. His books aren't too dark. And like whatever scales of the medium, again, you can guess. But obviously Home Before Dark is kind of like Haunting of Hill House, very loosely inspired at Amityville Horror. Maybe a family fled the house and the dad wrote a book saying that it's haunted, and our main character is back after his passing trying to figure out was it actually ever haunted. Arguably his most serious book, I would definitely say. He took that book very seriously. Then Middle of the Night, a missing boy 30 years later. The main character who was at the tent, in the tent with him on the night, is struggling with his guilt. Last Time I Lied, a woman remembers when she was at summer camp and the bunkmates that she had, they disappeared, and now she's working at the same camp again, trying to figure out what happened to these girls. They were never found. And With a Vengeance is a woman crafts this entire scheme to get revenge on the people who ruined her family's life forever. And yeah, for one reason or another, these would all go in the medium for me, I think. But like I said, this is Riley's charm. He does books that can discuss some interesting topics, some darker than others, and they're still entertaining as hell. So yeah, I think that we are done with the medium scale, so let's go into the hot scale. We're getting into some really messy stuff, and I'm just gonna get straight into it with Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. A reporter goes to her small town from her childhood to investigate death of one girl and then one missing girl who's then found dead in the middle of the town. And yeah, I think this still sticks with me because it was the first adult thriller I've read, and it definitely left an impression. I was like, oh my god. Like, I was like, wow. I remember thinking, it's so dark, it's so messy, it's so just, everyone is toxic. It's just, wow. It's, again, it says in the tagline, but it's just so much. Like, the main character's trauma, everyone else's trauma, like the family dynamics. It is definitely a dark book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, like, if you're just looking for a super lighthearted thriller, not the one for you. That's why it's in the hot scale. Then Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. A woman kisses a man, finds out he's her new boss, and he's married. Of course. Because why wouldn't you do that? Whatever. You know, she, instead of doing the sensible thing and breaking that shit off right away, she decides, you know what, I'm gonna become best friends with his wife. Why is it in the hot scale? I feel like there's a lot of build up, and then the way that it ends is just so bleak that I was like, great, that's how we end things. And I can't say anything else, but if you know, you know. If you read this, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just, yeah, I found it really dark. To the point where I was like, I don't think I'm no longer loving this. Because at first I was entertained. I was like, oh, this is where we're going. Okay. And it just goes into this, like, weird, almost like bit of a supernatural direction as well. That I know didn't work for a lot of people. So I know this might be a bit of a wild take, but I'm gonna put Verity by Colleen Hoover in hot as well. And I have books flying around everywhere. Jesus fuck. Okay. Let's try to hold on. So this one, everyone knows it's book talk royalty, as someone described, but we have a writer who gets assigned to ghostwrite the end of the series for her favorite author, and she's paralyzed, she can't do it herself, and she discovers this manuscript that she's like, that features some really messed up shit. What do I do now? And I was genuinely creeped out by this book. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was loving it, even in its badly written glory. I was actually anxious and afraid, and some stuff that's described in this book genuinely made me feel a bit squeamish. So, fuck it. It's my rank. I'm putting it in hot. I nearly said dark. We're not doing it like that. It's hot. Then I have Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. three foster sisters. They get asked to come back to their foster home from their childhood, and they had experiences of varying degrees there, all terrible though. They were abused their whole lives, and the reason they are asked to come back is because there has been a body found by police under this house, and they think that these women have something to do with it, or at least they know something. And yeah, it is really sad and really dark in terms of abuse and family dynamics and just things that these women go through. But I think there's a certain undertone of hope that goes throughout the book that stops it from being in the highest tier. So yeah, for me at least, it is definitely it is a brilliant book, like absolutely, but it definitely tugs your heartstrings. Then I have The Project by Courtney Summers. This one is about a cult. A woman is looking for her sister who joined a cult, and she thinks that if she does this like documentary thing for her job almost, that she can get to the bottom of what happened to her. And yeah, Courtney Summers really knows how to write a bleak book, and it is a really good book. I think I gave it a 4 stars, and it explores the cult mentality and everything that comes with it really well. So yeah, definitely read if you're in the mood for something messed up. Then I have Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. So this one is about a woman who seemingly has the perfect marriage and life with her hubby, except that she is basically locked up in a room like a prisoner. It's revealed early on. It's framed as a domestic thriller, but I was like, I'm not being thrilled right now. I'm actually being profoundly disturbed. Like, this book is dark. Like, it actually feels really dark. And I was feeling very unpleasant throughout. And I was like, some stuff that is described is just profoundly, like, it is disturbing. That's why it's in this tier. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. Then Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. This is about a woman with a complicated family history. She receives a letter from her mom in prison, and the story kind of kicks off from there. And the reason that it's in hot is because the suspense is not particularly massive, because it is like a combined lit ficky, but just the topics like domestic violence, abuse, postpartum like depression, all the, all of that stuff, like it's explored really, really well, but it can get really upsetting because it is heavy stuff. So that's why it's in this category. Then I have Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. This one is about a home invasion scenario where a man breaks into the house, and the main character and her kids, they go hide in this sort of panic room. Basically, like, think the movie Panic Room with Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart. And you have this, it's just scary. Home invasions of any kind is scary. It's something that happens all the time. It's terrifying. And it's a really well-crafted thriller. And the reason that it's not higher up is because obviously, I wouldn't describe it as a bleak story, but it is definitely dark. It is well executed and logistically soundproof, basically. And that's what you want out of a thriller sometimes. Like, you want to read a smart thriller, but a lot of the time I'm like, mild me up, baby. Then None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. 2 women find out they're birthday twins, and one of them asks, can it be part of your podcast, to, delve into that, and it just goes from there. And more messed up details about their lives start appearing, and the reason this isn't hot is because there's some dark shit in here that I personally I did not enjoy, in the sense that, I'm having fun reading this. I was not having a good time reading this. It was well written, but I was like, yeah, why am I reading My Dark Vanessa right now? I don't want to read that book again. And apparently I'm reading it again. So, it's one of them. But yeah, definitely a dark one. And then I have Sweet Pea by CJ Skews, and don't let the colors and the snark satire tone deceive you. This is about a serial killer, kind of like a sort of like a Dexter vigilante, but not really. She is a remorseless killer, and I love this series. And I was thinking, where do I put this? But I chose to put it in the hot because, well, even though the tone is very like light and breezy in terms of like how the character describes things, the things that she describes sometimes are so messed up. You have so many graphic details of things and so many like really messed up sociopathic things that she does that I'm just like, this has to go in the hot. These are dark books. I only read the 3 out of the 5 so far. It's kind of like an exception to the rule, I guess, because the tone is super entertaining, but the actual subject matter is so messy that I can't think of another category to put it in. And yeah, all 3 books in the series go into that category. Right, so the last book in the hot scale that I have to mention that was buried under the others, so I kind of forgot about it until now. A Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, the last Holly Jackson book on this list. It's about a woman who disappears when her daughter is 2 years old, and the daughter's asked to make a documentary about it, like star in the documentary, even not make it. And as they're filming, the mother comes back, and she has this story about what happened to her when she was missing. But our main character, the daughter, thinks, well, wait, it's not exactly matching, like something's not right. So it's wild that I'm putting a young adult novel above an adult one in terms of like the darkness and messiness and the tone and all that, but this book really made me uncomfortable. I was filled with dread throughout the whole thing. It was so intense, and like, again, abduction and all that. It's really dark stuff, and I think this is easily like her best book. I even prefer it more than Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I know is a wild take, but it's amazing. I was on the edge of my seat, honestly. Like, I loved it so much. What a great book. And yeah, it's very, like, considering what happens in terms of like all the dynamics and all the twists and everything, I definitely think it deserves to be in this tier. And like, in fact, I would have put it higher, but I thought it still has that bit of a sense of youthfulness and hope that kind of undermines it. But yeah, it's pretty much it in terms of... Right, so for Extra Hot, it's the smallest category. I only have 6 books because I don't read super dark, messed up thrillers that often, because I just don't like to have that feeling often, like the feeling that I'm gonna be sick. Like, what did I just read? That was fucking horrifying. I don't like that. That's why I don't read bleak, depressing books often in general, because I just feel like if that's all you need to read, if all you can read to feel something is super horrifying stuff, then you are desensitized to everything, and that's a whole other problem. I mean, well, you read what you want, but for me, I don't want to often feel like I'm gonna throw up. And I think that me reading these sort of books and feeling that way shows that I can still understand the gravity of what I'm reading correctly, and it's not just I need to push the stakes even higher to feel entertained. But yeah, I would say that if any of these books is particularly entertaining to you, like purely for entertainment value, then I'm kind of doing a double take. Again, you can read what you want and react to how you want, but for me, these made me feel dead inside, and not in a fun way. So to start with, I've Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is about a girl who goes missing, and her family is in pieces, and the mother of the family, she starts seeing this guy where they are quite like not getting too serious, but meeting the family, and she meets his daughter, and this girl looks like a spitting image of her missing daughter, the teenage girl. And yeah, this book made me feel so fucking depressed, guys. I read it at the hairdresser's, and I was like, I actually had to skim through some bits because it was just so fucking sad. Like, I read what happened, but like I didn't hang on to every word. I was like, I can't do this. It made me feel hollow. It's horrible, and it's like, I never want to read this book ever again. Like, I'd say that half of these I'd never want to read again. And the other half I probably could be convinced. But yeah, this is one of the former category because it was just so horrible. Oh my god. Yeah, very. I was very upset. Then I have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. So this is about a woman who is a former member of a cult back from college days, and she finds out that her fellow cult member and a close friend from back in the day, she killed herself, but she doesn't think that it was a suicide. So this is easily Ashley Winstead's best work. It's the first one I read of hers, and nothing's lived up to that. I gave it a 4.5. It's really dark in terms of like the cult dynamics, and in terms of like all of the, just all the messiness of like mind manipulation and domination and all that. It's just like the subject matter, it is really grim, and just the way that, okay baby, just the way that it unfolds. And I think Dante wants to be part of my emotional support talking about these really hard books, so he's coming up with me. Come here. Oof. Hello, he's a good boy. And let's not squish the bookies. Yeah, baby. Hello. Okay. So yeah, basically, it is really well executed, and it explores all the depravities of society. I know some people said that it doesn't actually highlight BDSM communities in proper way, and I'm not going to pretend like I understand ins and outs of that, but I'll leave it to people. But in terms of like all the cult dynamics and everything, I think that it was handled really well, but it is pretty grim. I would probably be convinced to reread this one. Then I have The Push by Ashley Audrain. This is kind of more like a literary suspense rather than an outright thriller, but still, a new mother is struggling with being one because she thinks her daughter is a literal devil. Sounds super corny, but the way this is written, I was terrified. This is everything that I'm scared about when it comes to motherhood in one package. I was like, yep. Yeah, I'm scared. I kind of want to like rip out my uterus forever. Like, if this is what motherhood is, I want no part of it. It is so well done. It challenges all these things that society is still afraid to talk about to this day. It just shush it. It just really dives into certain things that no one wants to talk about, and does it so well, but also I'm scared. That being said, I would probably reread this one. Then I have Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. This is about a woman who she takes things very literally. Her father says, when I'm dead, just put me in the bin. Shush. And basically, once he passes, she does exactly that. And obviously you can't do that. It's illegal. And it becomes a media circus, but then this media circus reveals something else about her life. And holy fuck. This book didn't put me in a reading slump after I finished it, but it gave me a book hangover it took me like 2 weeks to finish a book after that. And, well, that book that I was reading after this was The Night Circus, and it's a book that definitely deserved that time, but still, you get what I mean. It's very... It was so fucking bleak, guys. The subject matter, the tone, and just... It has one of the bleakest, least satisfying endings to any book I've ever read. And I get it fits. It's fitting. That's purposeful. But I was like, I need to cry right now. It was that bad. So yeah, that's that. I never want to read this book again. Even though it was fantastic. You can feel two things. Then I have Sadie by Courtney Summers. So, and Dante decided I no longer need his support. I guess he believes in me. Anyway, so this one is about a girl whose sister is brutally murdered, and she knows who did it. It's revealed very early on who did it, and she's on a manhunt for that bastard. And she is kind of like one step ahead of this podcast guy. And this is, I'm convinced this is the book that started it all in terms of podcasting in thriller books, because we have this true crime podcaster that gets tasked to go and investigate this murder, and he gets invested in Sadie's story. But like I said, she's always a step ahead of him, and he never can quite catch up to her. And again, the subject matter, technically this is a YA book. YA my ass. What the fuck? This is so dark, so bleak. So, I mean, it's wonderful. I would definitely reread this again. Like, it's wonderful, but it's also so messed up. And that ending, I think about that ending at least once a week, and I'm not exaggerating. I genuinely think about it every day. Like, not every day, but like every week. And Charlie and I discuss it at least on a monthly basis. We should reread this together. I'm gonna talk to her about it. I'm gonna convince her, and hopefully by the time this is uploaded, she'll say yes. So anyway, then final one that I finished just a few days ago at the time of filming this. It is, what else could it be, really? I'm not gonna lift it up because it's under another pile that's stacked like this horizontally, but it is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. It wasn't gonna go in any other category as soon as I read it. Wow. So a woman, her husband is stabbed to death in front of her in an alley, and she discovers post his death that he potentially was involved in a human trafficking ring, like human snuff films. And descriptions are not shied away from. I generally had to skip through some bits because I was like, I don't want for those words to be seared into my brain. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, there's nothing enjoyable about a book like that. I read it because I wanted to read a well-written story about two sisters coming together in resentment and grief and all these things and finding their way back to each other. Because that is a beautiful part of the story, but it's also so dark and so grim. This poor family. And to think that stuff like this is happening every single day. Yeah. The world is fucked up. But anyway, these are all the books. I don't know how long this video is going to be after I'm done editing it, but at the moment, I've been sat here for like an hour and 50 minutes. So it's definitely going to be like over an hour, that's for sure. But you know what? Again, whatever. It's my channel. I do what I want. If making longer videos is what I need to get back into video making and actually enjoy doing it, then I'd rather post less often, but post videos I actually want to post, as opposed to, oh, I'm gonna post twice a week, but they're all shit, because I'm not into it, and you can tell on camera. So yeah, my energy dipped slightly towards the end, because I do need to eat. But apart from that, this is like the most enjoyable video I've filmed in a long time. So I hope that showed. And please do share your opinions on these books.